She didn't tell him what to do. She didn't chase him, didn't ask for attention, didn't even pretend to care if he stayed or left. And maybe that's why he couldn't stop thinking about her. There's something dangerously magnetic about a person who doesn't need you, yet somehow makes you want to prove your worth to them. That's how it started. That's how every game of reverse psychology begins. With silence that speaks louder than words, Ethan wasn't naive. He was logical, sharp, the kind of man who saw through people, or at least he thought he did. He believed manipulation was something that happened to the gullible, not to someone like him. But then Lena appeared, not like a storm, but like calm water that slowly rose until it drowned him. They met at a small art exhibit downtown. She stood in front of a painting of a shattered mirror, sipping her wine like she was trying to taste the artist's pain. Ethan approached her out of curiosity, not attraction. "What do you see?" he asked, nodding toward the painting. She smiled, a half-smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I see control," she said, "broken in all the right places." That answer should have warned him. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. It always starts as interest, then becomes obsession. Lena didn't flirt. She didn't compliment. She didn't even try to impress him. She simply made him feel like she saw something in him that others didn't. And that illusion of being understood is the first hook of reverse psychology. It's not about making you chase love. It's about making you chase validation. He started texting her first. She often replied hours later, short, subtle, never cold, but never warm enough, just enough to keep him wondering. And when he finally got frustrated and stopped texting, she messaged him with 2 words, "Miss me?" She always struck at the perfect moment, right when his silence became self-doubt. That's the art of control. Not pulling the strings all at once, but letting the puppet think he's free. Weeks passed. Their connection deepened, or at least that's what Ethan believed. She'd say things that sounded like compliments, but were actually challenges. "You're too confident for your own good. You act like you can't be controlled. You think you're always right, don't you?" Every time she questioned his power, he felt an urge to prove her wrong, to show her he wasn't like other men, that he couldn't be played. But that was exactly what she wanted. Reverse psychology isn't about control through force. It's control through freedom. You make someone choose the very thing you want them to do. Lena never asked him to chase her. She just created the perfect silence that made chasing feel like his idea. She never told him to stay. She just became the kind of mystery he didn't want to leave unsolved. One night, as they walked along the empty street, she said something strange. "You know what's funny?" she said softly. "People think control means telling someone what to do. It doesn't. Real control is when you make them want to do it." Ethan laughed it off, pretending not to notice how eerily precise her words felt. But deep inside, something twisted. He started realizing that every argument, every compliment, every silence was crafted. She was playing chess and he was just learning the rules. He began noticing patterns. Every time he pulled away, she became distant too. Not angry, not emotional, just indifferent. And that indifference burned more than any fight ever could. Because in human psychology, indifference triggers the deepest need, and the need to be seen. We chase what ignores us. We love what confuses us. We fall for what doesn't fall back. Soon, Ethan wasn't chasing love anymore. He was chasing equilibrium. He wanted to win her attention, not because he wanted her, but because he couldn't stand losing control. That's the hidden power of reverse psychology. It doesn't just change your actions, it rewires your self-image. You start doing things not to get love, but to prove something to yourself. He began dressing better, working harder, overthinking every word he sent her. Not because she asked him to, but because he wanted to be the version of himself that she might finally value. One evening, he finally confronted her. "You like playing games, don't you?" he asked. She tilted her head, amused. "Games? No. I just understand how people think. You can't tell someone to want you, I guess, but you can make them wonder why they don't." She smiled after saying it, that same quiet confidence that first drew him in. And that's when it hit him. She never tried to own him. She made him want to be owned. He spent the night awake, replaying everything. Every conversation, every pause, every time she said, "Do what you want." Those words, "and do what you want," and they were freedom disguised as command. The oldest form of reverse psychology there is. When you tell someone not to do something, you trigger rebellion. When you tell them to do it, you make them question their own motives. And when you act like you don't care, that's when they care the most. Ethan realized he'd been trapped not by manipulation but by his own ego. Because reverse psychology doesn't work unless the target has pride. Pride is the doorway, and Lena knew exactly how to knock. She became the mirror he couldn't look away from, reflecting not who he was but who he feared becoming, powerless, uncertain, emotional. She didn't break him. She made him reveal the cracks already there. One day, she stopped replying altogether. No explanations, no closure, just silence. The same silence that once made her irresistible now felt suffocating. Ethan waited. Hours turned into days, days into weeks. The more she vanished, the louder his thoughts became. He realized he wasn't missing her. He was missing the feeling she created. The chase, the unpredictability, the rush of trying to earn approval that was never promised. That's the most addictive part of reverse psychology. It gives you a taste of validation and then takes it away until you crave it like oxygen. Months later, he saw her again. Same calm expression, same unreadable eyes. She acted like nothing had happened. "You've changed," she said. "Finally learned to stop reacting." He smiled, not bitterly, but with quiet understanding. "No," he said. "I just learned to see the game for what it was." She nodded, almost proud. "Then you learned the lesson." That was the last time they spoke. But what she left behind wasn't heartbreak, it was awareness. Awareness that most of our actions are not logical. They're emotional reactions to someone else's control. Awareness that the moment you stop reacting, you take your power back. Ethan started noticing reverse psychology everywhere. In advertising, politics, relationships, even friendships. The words "don't worry about it, it's up to you, you wouldn't understand," and all phrases designed to provoke a specific response. Humans are wired to resist control yet crave direction. Tell someone they can't have something and they'll want it twice as bad. Tell them to take it freely and suddenly they hesitate. He learned that reverse psychology works not because people are weak, but because they're predictable. Our minds crave validation and autonomy at the same time. We want to be free, but we also want to be wanted. The best manipulators understand how to balance those two desires until you can't tell where choice ends and control begins. But here's the twist. Once Ethan understood this, he didn't use it to control others. He used it to control himself. He stopped chasing approval, stopped reacting to silence, stopped trying to prove anything. Because once you understand how your own mind works, nobody else can use it against you. That's the real power of reverse psychology. Not how it's used on you, but how you can use it for you. You can trick your mind the same way others do. Tell yourself you don't care about failure, and suddenly, fear loses its grip. Tell yourself you're free to quit, and watch how that freedom makes you want to keep going. Tell yourself you don't need their love, and that's when you start attracting people who value your peace. Reverse psychology isn't manipulation when it's self-directed. It's mastery. And that's what Ethan became, a man who no longer played games but understood them. He learned that real confidence doesn't come from control. It comes from calm detachment. The ability to walk away from what no longer deserves your energy. He started noticing how silence could be powerful, not as punishment but as protection. How walking away wasn't losing, it was leading. How not reacting was the loudest form of self-respect. In time, Ethan stopped thinking about Lena as a manipulator. He started seeing her as a teacher. She didn't break him. She introduced him to the parts of himself he had ignored, his pride, his insecurities, his need to win. And by exposing them, she gave him the chance to transcend them. He realized that the entire time she was never truly playing him. She was playing the pattern. And once he understood that, the pattern broke. Because the truth is, reverse psychology is only powerful when you act without awareness. Once you see the mechanism, it loses its grip. Once you name the illusion, it disappears. Ethan began helping others see it too. Friends stuck in toxic relationships, co-workers trapped in guilt-driven workplaces, people controlled by emotional games. He'd tell them, you can't win a game you don't understand. And you can't be manipulated when you know your triggers. That became his quiet philosophy. Observe, don't react. Understand, don't chase. Lead yourself, don't follow emotion. Lena was gone, but her lesson remained, like an invisible scar that reminded him of who he used to be and who he refused to become again. And that's the paradox of reverse psychology. It begins as someone else's tool to control you, but ends as your key to freedom if you're willing to learn. Because the moment you realize how easily your mind can be led, that's the moment you stop letting it be. Ethan didn't hate her anymore. In a strange way, he was grateful. Because sometimes it takes being manipulated to understand your own strength. It takes being tested to recognize your truth. It takes being broken to learn how to think clearly. He smiled one last time, remembering her words. Real control is when you make them want to do it. And he whispered to himself, real power is when you no longer need to.